everyone. Welcome to Everyday Passions, Heart-Centered Conversations. Good communication is essential in all relationships, right? Families, spiritual, business, any kind of relationship that we want to build, communication is essential. And we're all communicating, we're talking, we're writing, we're texting, the list goes on. Yet there are often huge communication gaps. We communicate but do not connect. My guest today, Munira Zahabi, is passionate about helping us to overcome this challenge. Welcome, Munira.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's my delight, my pleasure. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am Yvonne A. Jones of 50andwisercoaching.com and the founder of the 50 and Wiser community on Facebook. So, Munira, she's known as the Niche Navigator. She's an author, speaker, influencer, and entrepreneur from Chicago, Illinois. Through her business, excuse me, she has influenced many people to navigate to their niche, hence her name. Excuse me. She's a John Maxwell certified coach. She's also a DISC trainer, as Keynote and motivational speaker, and the owner of Kismet Ventures. Now, Munira is pursuing her passion and purpose, which is helping others get unstuck and raise their leadership ladder. I love that. Again, welcome, Munira. So
Thank you.
I've shared a little bit about your business, and we know you have a variety of things that you work on, and you truly are an influencer. You've helped people to navigate, discover, and navigate their niche. Now, to help us to get to know you a little bit better on the other side of the coin, would you share something personal with us, please? Anything you want.
Okay. I am a grandma of 11 grandchildren. I am blessed, very blessed to do that. There was a time when I was very angry that God gave me 4 kids, and I have a stepson too. But I was like, now when I look back on my journey, I feel that all that hard work was very, very worth it because the grandkids adore me and I'm crazy about them, all of them. Each one has a wonderful personality. So,
Wow, 11 grandchildren. I bow to you, my dear, because I have three. And I feel my cup is full. So for you to have 11, that's wonderful. I can just imagine what family reunions must be like in your family.
they are fun. And I don't do the work. I just spend time with the grandbabies.
Of course, you have to be there to spoil the grandbabies and let somebody else do the work.
Yes.
All right, so tell us, Benera, I know your passion is about helping people to connect. So speak to us a little bit more about that, please, because we'd like to find out communication is so very important. So even before we dive any deeper, just tell us a little bit more about that whole aspect of communication, or to communicate in order to connect.
So I went to a network meeting about several years ago before COVID. I went to several networking events. And every time I went there, I wanted to meet the core of the group, right? The core group, the people who were making it happen. But you never get to see those people. You just meet people, they take each other's cards and then they put it back. They come home, they put it in their drawer and they forget about it. So I went to another networking event, and one of the John Maxwell's teaching was, next time you go to a networking event, don't go to people, let them come to you. That was the one thing. And we just, I was just standing there, and then this young gentleman that came to me, and he goes, "You look like you're lost." And I was like, "I'm not lost." And he goes, why are you standing alone? Why aren't you mingling? I said, I just like to watch people, but I've always liked to watch people. And I determine their personalities from watching people, because what is it they like? What are they like? How do they
Mm-hmm.
come across? And that's a part of communication. And one of the things, I'm sorry, one of the things about communication is that you have to listen and watch, right? When you look at people, you need light. You need light. For a blind person to see, they see with their ears. They see with their ears. So one of the things that I listen, when I was there, I was listening to people, watching people, and I learned that it's not that we have to see people, it is just hearing them. So communication came to me in that form the first time. Second time, and the young gentleman that who was with me, he was like, tell me more. He was more intrigued with what I was doing. And I said, I'm just conducting an experiment as to how many people are going to see me in this corner and just come. And then we talked about restaurants, we talked about anything but that event. We talked about children, we talked about schooling, three different subjects. And we came down to the conversation about making a recipe of something. He was going to a culinary school, and we were looking, and he started sharing some of his traits. And he just started talking, and he said to me, I have never been able to be so comfortable in a conversation with a stranger and talk about these things, because he felt like you have a relationship with food, and food, when you touch it, feel it, is like having a lover in his hand. That's what he was telling me. He was so excited about it. And when we were talking, several people who were listening to us, they started coming to us just to listen to our conversation. And what had started out, hey, you look lost and lonely, came out to be a group of 20 people who had gathered around our table, and we just started talking. Most of them were just listening, but it intrigued them that two strangers could have a good, intimate conversation about food and how to handle such things. His name is Jonathan. I still am in connection with him. But he has this relationship. He feels the food. He tells me, you need to feel the food, because when you feel the fruit, and if it's an orange, when you squeeze it, it gives you more juice. Try it, he tells me. So he has this, I don't even know what the word is, but he has this relationship with this food. And I think it's a sexual relation in a funny sort of way, but not in that sense, where he really enjoys what he does. And that one conversation became the mode of what I started thinking about, because connection happens when you start to communicate. And some people think you are lonely. And how many people, I was sitting there after the event, I started thinking about how many people saw me just standing there and didn't even look at me, didn't even acknowledge me, didn't even come and say hi. But this fellow, a young fellow, very, very witty, and very charming personality, he came over and he said, hey, what are you doing in the corner, and why aren't you mingling? So that curiosity allowed us to grow in that moment. So to me, communication is the basis for everything. And if we sit down and think about it, everybody communicates, including animals.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Right?
you're so correct about that. It is the foundation of any relationship, and clearly, you manage just by your observation and his curiosity. You both manage to create a collaboration. It was kind of almost symbiotic, as it were, because it was like you flowing one way, he flowing the one way together. You had a beautiful choreography. You had this beautiful connection. An interesting thing, what I heard you say is that people got curious. And I imagine you must both have been laughing and visualizing the scene as you're talking. And you must have been having some humor thrown in the mix, and people are curious as to what was creating this laughter at this table. So I could just imagine. And you were connecting, Munira. You both were connecting with each other, not just talking, but you were connecting, listening, and really getting the sense of what each other is saying.
So connections, right, happen when we don't think about it, but connections happen when you look at people, when you meet eye to eye with people, you smile at people. If it's a child, when you just like touch them on the cheek or say hi to them, because they're kids. If in a shopping cart, they'll just say hi. I have my granddaughter. She's gonna tell everybody how old she is when her birthday is. That's why her parents don't give her the address. They don't tell her what the address is, and they'll tell her. She says, "I live on Apple Tree Lane, but I don't know what the number is because I'm not allowed to tell people." But she tells everybody anything that they want to ask, and she's very friendly. And I think that's the age where I tell my daughter-in-law not to curb her curiosity and her communication skills, because what will happen is when we ask them not to talk, they become introverts. They just pull back in their shell and they don't want to learn. They don't want to talk to any people. And that becomes us later on, because we don't want to talk to people. What are they going to think about me? But kids are so innocent. They just go in and just talk about anything. The flower is good. I like that lipstick. I like your glasses. Hey, you've got, how come you got two long nails? She told this one lady at the grocery store, and she had those very long nails that are in fashion right now. And the girl said, but that's what I like. And she goes, how do you eat?
How old is this grandchild?
5. She goes,
Oh,
how do
yeah.
you eat? And the
Yeah.
girl looked at me and I said, I'm sorry. She goes, it's okay. She goes, I use a fork. And my granddaughter said, oh, that makes sense. Because we eat with our hands. So,
Ah,
so we eat with
okay.
our hands. So she couldn't figure out how this woman was working. But, we learn a lot of things from children because they go through different stages in life, and they learn how to connect with people at different stages.
That is true. And also, they're fearless because they haven't learned fear yet. And as you rightly said, that when we keep telling them, don't do this and don't do that, then we start that building that fear, because now they're afraid to say something because it may offend someone. And so they're no longer spontaneous. And I can remember from my own childhood, and my mother used to say, never tell a child not to say something or do something, because that's the exact thing that they're going to say or do when you
Don't
don't
I
want
know it? Don't I
to.
know?
So the honesty from children. So, Munir, would you say that this occasion with this young man, Jonathan, would you say that is when you discovered that this was a passion for you, this um, helping people to connect more effectively and to communicate more effectively? Was this when it started for you?
That was the beginning of it, but never understood what was happening because it was now in the pot, as I call it, just trying to figure out, and it was simmering in that sense, but it wasn't doing anything because the heat wasn't up yet, right? Giving you the analogy of cooking.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened was, as I have grown in my industry, I am the niche navigator. Like you said, I teach people how to figure out their niche. But most of the time, people don't know how to communicate about what they do. You know, like if you go to let me give you a very good example. If you go to a physician, do you go to an internal medicine doctor or a family doctor. And this is very well seen if you have a new insurance card and you call the insurance company and say, I'm looking for a doctor. Ma'am, what kind of a doctor are you looking for? A primary doctor? Would you like to see a family medicine doctor, internal medicine? Is it okay if you see a nurse practitioner or physician's assistant? Right? So all of these people are well trained, but where is your expertise coming in? And the thing is, we always talk about as coaches or in the industry that we are, whatever you do, I'm a flower arranger, or I am the niche navigator. What does that do? Right? But so then I started, like, I heard this one speaker talk to us and say, it's an alphabet soup. I teach people how to communicate better. Why? They don't know how to communicate? That's the first question people ask you. So no, it's not they don't know how to communicate, they just don't know how to connect. And then say that. So the thing is, when we know what we want to tell people because we know how to do it. We just don't know how to impart that knowledge to somebody else who gets it in that 3-second or 30-second, the first 30 seconds, which is the main effect when you meet a person, right? That the elevator speech, this is what I do. So then you have to say, I help people to do blank so that they can. And you give them that spill, and so that it's very, very clear to them what is it that you do. But most people don't do that. And so this event with Jonathan happened, and then I started talking to different people, and the people that gave me the 25 cards that were around me, and I had conversations with them, I saw the fact that they did not know how to talk. I mean, they were there for a networking event. One was an author, one was a painter, but they did not expect me to teach them how. So then I did a masterclass for all of them, and I said, let me explain to you what you are doing. So then we did a workshop kind of thing, and it was a hit. So communication happens, like I said, when you actually make eye contact or you smile, or that happens when that connection is made. It was more made with Jonathan when we started talking about the food items. We talked about holidays, we talked about jobs that we've had, and incidentally that he was in the healthcare field too before he became a published author, and now is a well-known speaker in the car industry, automobile industry.
Mm. So you said something which is so very true, because I was one of the people who attended networking events, usually at least once per week. Some weeks there were two or three, depending on if there were some monthly ones. And you're so right. And I remember when I started my business many years ago, after leaving corporate America, it was a challenge for me. I actually paid a coach who was an elevator pitch coach to help me to clarify how I wanted to express myself. And I can really remember the very first event that I attended after the training. I couldn't believe it. People applauded and said that was the best presentation. I was like, whoa, this really works, and this was worth my money, because it made me think of just last week, I believe I was on a call, and exactly to the point you mentioned, Munira, she was talking about that there were two health coaches in a networking event. One said, I am, like I say, I'm Yvonne, I'm a health coach. Nobody. The other person said, I'm Munira. I help women 40 and over lose weight effortlessly within, like you say, in 4 weeks. And this woman had people running over to her. That's me, I need help, I need help. And the other one was confused as to why is it she said she was the same health coach, but nobody came to her because knew what she did. Just saying I'm a health coach doesn't say what you do. It's the title. So you're so right about that. People understanding how to connect, how to communicate what they do at these events. So you spoke about the workshop you did for those individuals. How else has this passion impacted the lives of others?
Wow. I think most people don't understand that there is a learning curve to communication. We teach communication to our kids when they are young. I have a almost a 1.5-year-old granddaughter who is now picking up words, and it's banana, nana, things like that. So she's just now vocalizing stuff, right? But as I see her enhance her skills, then we tell them to shut up because they talk too much. And that's what stays with them because we never encourage them. Now, our age group, over 50, if we remember our childhood, that was how we were brought up because we were brought up in the era that children should be seen, not heard.
Oh, yeah.
But if you sit down and think about the eye, if you look at the sight, we need light to see. There's nobody out there. If it is pitch black, you can't see. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot see. So you need light, you need colors to see. For the ears, you don't need anything except for the sound. That's why when if you've noticed a blind person, they can hear anything and they will retain that knowledge. Even if they hear it for a second, they'll retain that knowledge. So what has happened right now is I've been able to help coaches also find communication and their communication skill in their elevator speech. What is it that you do? How is it that you present yourself to the people? And I'm enhancing my communication skills by getting on podcasts like these and helping other people to understand why words matter. I mean, there's a lot of material on communication, but how do you in your industry show up? And what do you tell people so they get it in that 30-second elevator speech? So that's what I've been doing. And it really has opened up a lot of doors. You invested in a coach, so you know, but that impression, the first impression is what makes or breaks you in your industry.
That's true. No doubt about that. Oh, well, Munira, that's excellent information you have shared with us. Now, do you have anything before we wrap up today? I can't believe how quickly the time has gone by. Do you have anything that
I
you'd like to share with our viewers and our listeners?
Yes,
Maybe a
so
gift. Do you have something
I
for
am
them?
encouraging people to go on a podcast. If you are an expert in your industry and you consider yourself an expert in your industry, then I want you to go and communicate your trademark. I want you to go out and tell people what you do and how you do it. And one way to do it, see, here's the thing. Every one of us in business needs leads. Every one of us needs an audience. And the one way to do this is to go in front of other people's audiences and stand there and then talk about what you do. And there are so many podcasts out there that make this happen for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm big into podcasts. I have my own podcast. It's called Munira's Musings. But one thing that I'm going to share a gift with all of the listeners here is go to my website. It's called the nichenavigator.com/3. The number three spelled out. The nichenavigator.com/3. And there you will find a ebook that says the 3 principles to being an effective podcast guest. It's a short book, but it has all the points that you can use to create your verbiage to tell other people and stand out from the crowd.
That's beautiful. So thank you very much, Munira, for being here today. I think we're going to have a follow-up conversation on this whole matter of connect to communicate,
Yes.
because it sounds like it should be communicate to connect, but I certainly understand from our discussion exactly what you mean. It is important to connect with each other so that we can communicate effectively. And I thank you for clarifying that and bringing that point out very clearly today. Now, your website is the nichenavigator.com. Is there any other way we can reach in touch with you? Get in touch with
I'm
you.
on LinkedIn. I'm also on Facebook. The best way to connect with me on Facebook is to send me a message on Messenger, and I look at my messages and I will answer.
Perfect. So thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for sharing your values, sharing your wisdom, and thank you for our listeners and viewers. This podcast is going to be on my YouTube channel, and it will be all over on Facebook, on LinkedIn, everywhere. So you can always watch the replay in case you missed us live today. So thank you again, and until next time, have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Munira.
Thank you very much.